There's always lots of stories about our brilliant, wonderful monarchy, the royal family, and how much they love cinema. And when you think about it, they've had the Royal Command film performance for many years, and as we know, going way back, Louis Mountbatten was very keen on the moving image, as was, of course, Edward VII. They utilised this to make sure that they could make sure that their media images were beamed around the world so people would know them, particularly Edward VII. And of course, when you think about it also, I've told you stories about how the MGM boss Louis B. Mayer very much tried to see if he could actually use Buckingham Palace as a filming location for the movie starring Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor in Royal Wedding, a sort of homage to the wedding of Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh Prince Philip, but that was turned down. But of course there were ways round this, particularly for royals who really did enjoy the world of Hollywood and cinema. And as we know, the late Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, was definitely one of those women. But did you know this? Morning, nice to see you. Thank you so much. We'll have a lovely wave. Are you all right today? Thank you for joining me, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Nice to see you today. I hope you're well. Whatever you do, we love movies, don't we? I'm glad you're enjoying the Saturday morning movies that I'm putting up. I think more of you could join us for those. I think you might find it a nice sort of palate cleanser, as the kids say, from all the other stories. Some of them, as I said, brilliant movies. I enjoyed the movie this week with Fred MacMurray. What a guy, really good actor, in fact. And you kind of think he's almost forgotten in the Hollywood echelons, isn't he, when you think? Unlike this, of course, Winston Churchill, brilliant guy, absolutely, in my opinion, did a lot for us and really made Britain great in very difficult times, let's not forget. But I don't know if you know this, as we know, they had a warm relationship with, of course, the King George, and Queen Elizabeth, who is later known in my generation as the Queen Mother, alongside Princess Elizabeth and of course Princess Margaret. Hence the reason the Queen was often cited as saying that he was a very favourite British Prime Minister, the first of course who helped her and guided her in the very early stages of her reign. But what was fascinating was that during the war, as we know, Buckingham Palace was sadly bombed and Queen Elizabeth was very concerned, as was King George. As we also know, both the princesses most of the time were out at Windsor, but not always. According to a very well-placed source, you see, every now and again, the royals would pop down to what we now know to be the Churchill War Rooms. I kid you not. And you see, Winston Churchill had had a room converted, not a big room, but a room converted in there to watch movies whenever he fancied. This was a distraction from all the stresses and strains of the day of looking after Rose during the Second World War, as you can imagine. And what happened was, they basically said, they said to the royals, if you'd like to come along whenever, and Winnie, as he was affectionately known, would say the films that he'd been given, mainly British films from things like British Gaumont and Elstree, Pinewood, Shepperton, stuff like that, but occasionally the big Hollywood splashy musicals, because again, a wonderful escapism. But according to a source who worked very closely with Queen Elizabeth, when they went there, they didn't necessarily have this formal attire, because Winston Churchill would be busy, whatever, and would just saunter in to the cinema. They had to wait for him, by the way, the royals, and he would saunter in to the cinema, announce, "Winnie's here, roll it," and he would be in his dressing gown, pyjamas, cigar, and sometimes a glass of whiskey. And according to that source, in the cinema, Queen Elizabeth, King George, and the two princesses, and say some senior staff members, would be literally having a fabulous time, literally underground. More importantly though, he would then fall asleep during the movie and then ask everybody at the end, what was it like? Did you enjoy it? That sort of stuff. They found this very amusing, and that's the reason, in my opinion, why, because they extended such friendship to him, he extended friendship back. And as we know, sadly, when he passed away in 1965, the Queen attended his funeral. And let's not forget, a very rare person to stand on the Buckingham Palace balcony, literally at the conclusion of the Second World War. That's how popular Winston Churchill truly was. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.